Hey, welcome back. How's it going? So, I'm not sure how to start this, but basically what we're doing here is called a peripatetic walk. Or maybe all I'm saying is walk, because I think, if I remember correctly, which I probably don't, peripatetic is a fancy Greek word for walking. I'm not sure. In any case, it's said that Aristotle, the way that he set up his school was more in a sort of a garden area somewhere around Athens, and that's how he liked to teach his students, by walking through nature and pointing out to things, describing what they're all about, what they mean, philosophizing, right, in a peripatetic way, in a way to walk. So that's what I've decided to do here, just sort of test out the new microphone that I bought and the gimbal that I'm on, and I'll be in Greece soon, the next couple months, doing a lot of this, so I figured why not test it out now, try it out, and just have a peripatetic walk with you guys, thinking about ideas, sharing emotions, I guess jumping into the world of monetizing some kind of, I don't know, online personality business. I don't know exactly what's going to happen or what that means, but this is what the future is all about, right? Speaking of the future, that's exactly why I felt it would be a good idea to do a sort of peripatetic oh, look, there's a pheasant over there. Let me see if I can turn this around. Can I turn this around? Hold on. I don't know how to turn out this. I guess you can't. But hold on, I'll turn around. Oop. Can you see the pheasants down there? I'm gonna back up. They're on the side. They're probably too far, but they're somewhere over here. Yeah, lots of nature around here. So, pretty gorgeous. And what I was thinking about doing is just discussing the future when it comes to nature, because we don't really walk around in nature and think, wow, this is futuristic. But I think a lot of what's going to happen in the future is exactly that, is more and more nature being involved. Now, I'll give you an example. A lot of technologies are becoming more and more ubiquitous. That means everywhere without being seen, in a sense, right? It's just part of the environment almost. And if you look at where I am now, there's maybe a few houses in the distance that you can see behind me. Other than that, right now I'm completely surrounded by nature. Or am I? I mean, the road that I'm walking on, which is man-made, is a technology. We don't think of it as a technology anymore, so we might not think that technology is all around us, but it is. In fact, it could very well be that some of these trees around me have some kind of technology that was used to maintain them, you know. We've genetically engineered a lot of plants, a lot of trees, so that they don't fall susceptible to, you know, diseases and bugs and so on. And so that's ubiquitous technology right there. So, you know, there's a rift in human society today, and the idea is that I think we're having a sort of split between people who believe we should have more technology, and others who think we should have less and just go back to sort of a natural way of living. And if you don't know me by now, you will over the course of maybe listening to some of the things I have to say. But I'm a very paradoxical type person. That's what my philosophy is all about, is paradoxes. And essentially a paradox, without digressing too much, applying it to seeing the world as it is today and in the future, involves taking two extremes, right? A paradox is made of two things, and connecting them, seeing how they relate to each other, right? Seeing them on a sort of spectrum, as opposed to two diametrically opposed ideas. So how do we connect these two ideas of nature and technology? Well, obviously, the center argument, or the sort of point that has to be made, is humans. We're the ones who are trying to reconcile these two ideas. Now, it's important to, I would say, define some of these words, like what is technology and what is nature, what are human beings. There's many different various kinds of definitions, so I don't want to get into it too much. I'd rather go a little bit more simply and try to understand, what is it that we want rather than what it is that we think things are. And it's clear that people want to enjoy a nice life, and a lot of that means living naturally, right? To be healthy, to be able to enjoy the environment, to be able to enjoy our family and the experiences that we can have for as long as we can have rich, wonderful experiences, right? Now, there's no reason for why technology has to be something that pulls us away from it. It can, but it doesn't always have to. I was thinking on the walk over here, that we optimize things. That's all we do. We're optimization machines. Technologies start off as big and bulky and kind of disruptive, We sort of take away some of the beautiful aspects of life. For example, instead of walking, we take cars everywhere now. I know people very close to me who will instead of walking from one store to another in the same parking lot, they'll take their car, which is kind of hilarious. In any case, that would be disruptive to our natural lives, right? As an example. And yet, having vehicles, having cars has allowed us to connect with people very far away from us, and it's allowed us to go and work and help people very quickly. Take ambulances, for example, So that's a technology that's greatly improved our lives as well. So I'm not a big fan of seeing any one thing from a fixed perspective. I like to see things in facets, and yet it's not very convenient, right? You need to take your time to explain these facets, to understand them and to accept them. But people are lazy in that sense, intellectually lazy. And it's not to say that people who aren't intellectually lazy are any better, because there's different types of laziness, there's different types of virtues. But I would say it's natural, it's how we operate. We can't understand everything, we can't compute all the information out there in the universe, so naturally we can't take too much time to understand all the different facets of one idea or of a value or something like that. So people stick to one side, right? Easier to do. Whatever suits their current predilections or predispositions, So, it's just the way it works. In any case, if we want to make it to the future, we can't think that way anymore. Trying to get used to looking at the camera here. It's kind of odd, and holding this gimbal. More difficult than people think. In any case, when it comes to the future, I think we always try to maintain the technological advances that we've come up with to maintain accordingly the quality of life of our lives. But how do we do it? By retaining some kind of human, more natural way, like something that doesn't create a negative domino effect. For example, if you start taking the car everywhere, right, and instead of having to plow a field yourself, you just go to the supermarket or the drive-through and you eat, and you get very fat. Those two technologies, agriculture and automobiles, make you fat. Therefore, you have to create another technology, which is these machines we call treadmills, help us stay in shape. It's kind of absurd, isn't it? We have this sort of domino effect of technologies upon technologies to sort of fix the problems of the current of the first technology. It's really odd. But over time, we seem to find a way to fix that issue as well and make things ubiquitous. Again, that's the word, ubiquitous. Very important. Now, I want to return to the idea that we like to optimize everything. You know, instead of having this huge camera, I have a phone and I'm using it. See, optimized, very easy. It's in my pocket. The phone also provides other services like GPS. You know, if I had needed to drive here to this specific trail, I could have popped the GPS and it would have also been a sort of positioning system that I can use. There's just multiple things in one. I basically have my whole film crew equipment on my back in my backpack. So things are starting to get very optimized. We don't need to do very much anymore. You know, I've got my sound equipment right here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, this little thing. And you know, that's it. I think one day, you know, as we start to connect our brains to the internet and to different technologies that allows us to do things, who knows, we'll be able to record directly from our eyes. Our memories will be able to upload memories and visuals and thoughts to our computers, share them to other people, and who knows, eventually there might not be a technological middleman and I'll just be able to directly send thoughts to someone else. You know, there's lots of technologies that we would have thought 10 years ago was crazy, and now we're seeing their prototypes come to life. So kind of crazy. So I was just thinking on the way over how at some point it may very well be that we are some kind of hybrid of biological slash, I wouldn't say mechanical, because I'm thinking if any part of us is mechanical, it would just be like nanobots or something like that in our bloodstream that sort of goes around and fixes everything and optimizes our biological bodies, because technically human beings are a great machine. We are a great technology. We're able to do things that plants and animals can't do. Amazing things. So maybe all of this separate technology that we see around us really is only a prototype for helping us optimize our own bodies, you know? Let's see here. Thank you. Just crossing the street. There you go, the pesky technologies like cars and roads just interrupting my nice walk. In any case, all this to say that I think we might be valuing the wrong things at times. You know, not to say that you can't value technology or you should value nature more. It's not to say one or the other. It's just to say, what do we value at what specific time, you know? Keeping a balance is ultimately what allows us to live well, you know what I mean? We have no choice in today's world. So, what is it that the future will bring? I don't know. I think it'll bring a lot of changes. Changes we don't like to admit, you know. I've had discussions with people where I'm like, you know, I wouldn't become a truck driver if I were you. I literally had this conversation with a cab driver, and she said she was becoming a truck driver, and I was like, well, you know, we're only maybe 5-6 years away from fully automated, you know, taxi cabs, and we're working on the same for trucks. In fact, Longhaul Trucking is probably going to hit first before taxi cabs. They've already got a few running around in Europe, I believe. So yeah, we work so hard to try to build an identity for ourselves by our careers, you know. We say, okay, well, who am I? What it is that I like to do, I can monetize that, turn it into something that I can use like piece of my identity, and then form a whole personality around that, you know. I am the truck driver, or I am the actor, or I am the business person, you know. It's not good anymore. So you can't just do that. It's not like the old days where you went to school for, I don't know, let's say about 18 years, right? Including from kindergarten to, university. And you wouldn't really take a break. You just go off and start your career path. You want to be competitive while you're young, and while they don't have to pay you so much. I'm just gonna sit here, and then you would just head down your career path, start your job, and then retire at age 65, something like that, and that's it. No more having to work. You can enjoy life. It's kind of weird, and it's not like that anymore. Now we are working less and less, and this whole coronavirus thing is really prompting the next step, the next level in human life, which will be, I don't know, some kind of mixture between a philosophical revolution and a technological one at that, because we will have a lot more time on our hands. Already we're seeing people playing video games upwards of 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Some people making very good livings doing that. So there are more opportunities for more people to do what they want to do in life and make money doing it, having a living. I'd be hard-pressed to find any kind of model or system in the future, provided we don't blow ourselves up or any calamity happens, where money and the exchange of our time so that we can make a living will really work. So there's just too many changes, too many difficulties, too many things that arises when everything is automated that can really make it easy for us to create an identity for ourselves, to follow some kind of path of purpose, and to be useful for others. It's just, I think we're going to have to really dive deep into more abstract things, the very things that make us human to begin with. I mean, take irony, for example. It's a very high-functioning neocortex that allows us to understand what irony is. It's an abstract thing. How can you not monetize that? Because again, I don't think we'll have to work for, our livings by using these abstract things. But how will we be able to create new abstractions and share them with each other to have experiences and to create purpose? Inevitably, all of this really leads us to some kind of existential crisis on the global scale, which is, I would say, more dangerous than perhaps any other threat to civilization. Now, immediate threats, sure, nuclear war, pandemics, of course, but in terms of human threats, lack of purpose, existential crisis on a massive scale. Now, every individual goes through it, it's called being a teenager. And for some, it lasts forever, and others, they get over it in their 40s. But ultimately, we all sort of have to come face to face with the absurdity of existence. No matter how indoctrinated you were in some cult, or no matter how much faith you have in some religion, or no matter how much rationality you think you've been able to survive from in your atheist sort of lifestyle, we all need to face doubt and the existential nature of our being. And technology and epidemics such as this, that prompt even more technology to take things over, it's gonna cause a philosophical crisis. And I don't think many people really understand that at this point. So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to sort of share with you. At the same time, I wanted to take a moment to really enjoy this beautiful river. There's no reason for why we can't enjoy the moment, even though what we have ahead of us is a challenge. There might be some inner war. Really, it's on the individual level. There will be an ideological war for sure. There always is. We're seeing it now. Started back in 2014, roughly, right? This whole political correctness versus racism type war, ideological warfare. It's going to come to an end, I think, and soon it'll really be an inner war. Every individual will have to fight themselves. So, yeah, the point was, I don't want it to be so drab and like, it doesn't have to be something that's negative or that people have to freak out over or feel like it's some kind of apocalypse, you know. I think we are very lucky. And I know that might sound a little odd because it's like, really, we're lucky, you know? What about our ancestors who got to just live in the beautiful nature, you know, in a natural way? You got to eat the food off the ground and hunt the animals running around and sleep in the trees and all this kind of Avatar type fantasy world. Well, we did live through it back, you know, say 100,000 years ago as, what do you call it? Hunter-gatherers. And ever since then, we've kind of enslaved ourselves with repetitive work and, you know, social kind of rules and all that stuff. But I still consider us to be extremely lucky because we are on a timeline that is exponentially quick. I think no other generations before us, so the last two and the following two, these maybe 3 or 4 generations, we're really lucky to see life as an exponential growth of change. You know, 400 years ago, you knew pretty much what life was going to be like 100, 200 years into the future because technology didn't change things very much. Sure, you know, wars change things, you know, maybe some environmental disasters change things, politics change a little bit, but roughly how we live our lives were going to be the same. Traditions, customs, the way we eat, the way we travel, everything sort of remained the same pretty much, slowly changed over time. And now technology is drastically changing how we do things on a decade by decade basis now, and it's going to get faster. It's going to be on a year by year. We're already starting to see every year major changes. So it's exciting. There's nothing more, you know, fearsome than change for us human beings, but fear is exciting. Fear is what gives us some kind of purpose to a degree, gives us, you know, something to really enjoy, like ride. It's an adventure. And there's no reason for why we can't really come together, try to see things in a paradoxical manner, because like I said, it's easy for us to look at things in a sort of binary pattern. It's either this or it's that, but ultimately it's both and everything in between. So technology, nature, and everything in between, these are things we have to contend with and connect and accept, understand, cooperate with, really sort of enjoy. And yeah, we get to be the lucky ones to see that happen. Out of the, I don't know, maybe 100 billion people that have lived in this universe, we must be, I don't know, a small handful of lucky human beings that get to perhaps maybe even become some kind of being that's able to enjoy the beauties of the universe that no other being has in the past. I mean, even couple hundred years ago, those human beings were very lucky to have been able to see very clearly some of the stars, some of the planets. They got to enjoy more beauty than their ancestors. And we today get to see the edge of our universe. We get to see cultures and religions and people and foods, customs, music, art from all over the world in the palm of our hands anytime we want. The whole of human knowledge, the history, it just goes on and on. We have access to everything that we've created and that we can experience on this planet. You know, nobody could do that 80 years ago. It's like, you know, you got to think about it for a second and really, really start to appreciate even the difficulties, even the fearsome unknown that some call the singularity. These are some of the terms that I'm throwing out there. You should look up for yourself later on, but I try not to describe them too much on these peripatetic walks, because then I digress and there's no overall sort of arc to this whole speech. But ultimately, the singularity is just a point in time where we can't really predict the future anymore. We don't know what these technologies or these changes are going to bring about, like events. So yeah, but look it up. Interesting. Ray Kurzweil really talks about the singularity a lot. In any case, I really sort of just wanted to express how neutral I feel recently, and how much in awe I am of what's happening and how exciting it is. Scary, sure. Frustrating, definitely. But beautiful, most definitely, as well. So, yeah, I'm going to post this on my Philosophy Tutor page on Facebook and on my Mind of James podcast on YouTube, as well as on the Church of Logic podcast that I have. And yeah, it'd be nice to see people maybe discuss what they think or add to what I've said. In any case, it would be even cooler if we could have like a sort of discussion where you are. You know, share your experience, go for a walk. If anybody wants to know how I'm doing this, it's called the DJI Osmo Mobile 3, and that's like a really cool gimbal that's compatible with many phones, and it's only 130 to 170 depending on if you get the case with it. And yeah, it's just you pop it in your bag. It's super compact, and you can walk around like this. This is a little bit more expensive, but there's various kinds that you can get for cheap sound recorders. In any case, yeah, I'm just going to plug myself one more time. Philosophy Tutor, Church of Logic, and Mind of James. Mind of James is a podcast on a playlist within the Church of Logic channel on YouTube. That's where I really just sort of discuss my own things. There's no video. I kind of just talk, and it's more of like an, what's the word I'm looking for? Introspection. I just sort of let my mind wander for half an hour. Church of Logic, I usually discuss with Oliver Golt many philosophical topics and current events. Philosophy Tutor, I help people with philosophy, and it's kind of like an educational platform. And yeah, it's basically what I'm going to be doing, I think, sharing what I know, sharing perhaps what I'm able to do. Hold on, just try to turn here. Yeah. Just finding a new way to live, you know, finding a new way to express myself and enjoy the technologies and the things that life has to offer. You know, I'm going to be in Greece. I'll be making some an overall sort of introduction to philosophy. So if you've been interested before, or if there's something deep inside you sometimes that says, I really want to know more about this, or I want to express myself when it comes to this idea, or what else, then you might want to consider watching the video series I'll be making on Skillshare. It's going to have drone shots, and I'll be in Greece just taking really cool videos of this and of that, and I'll make these sort of very easy to understand, because philosophy is, it's a love of wisdom. That's what it means, right? Philosophia, I guess, the love of wisdom, literally translated in Greek. So ultimately, you don't need these fancy terms that these ivory tower type philosophers sitting in their universities use. Now, I do think there's a practical application for these terms, you know, in philosophy. It just helps you condense an abstract idea and you can move it around amongst other ideas. You know, it's higher level stuff. It's, you know, it does have some practical use to your life, but ultimately philosophy, it's simply the love of wisdom, and to be able to articulate wisdom, you know, with other people and learn from other people's perspectives about life. That's ultimately what it's all about. Understanding this whole ride, this beautiful existence that we have. Really trying to appreciate it as well. It's not just understanding and loving wisdom, it's appreciating wisdom. That's what philosophy is about. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this sort of video series. I'm not funding it through any means but some of the money that I've put away. So I know it'll be a good quality for sure, but I don't know how much content I'll be able to put out because, again, I don't have very much money and I'll probably have to look for a job there and learn the language, but I'll still be doing these sort of simple videos so that if you really enjoy listening to new ideas or people's articulations about what's happening and what life is all about and all this kind of stuff, or you want to get involved, these are all things that I'm sort of providing. I don't like that word, but they're the kinds of things I want to share with people. And yeah, so once again, this Skillshare video series I'll be making is really an introduction to philosophy. It has a lot of history, explanations of what things are. It's very ecumenical. It encompasses philosophy in such a variety, in such a wide way that you'll really sort of get an insight into how you can use philosophy to your benefit, or how you can initiate a session where you share your ideas with someone else, right? We all do it in various ways. When you talk to your mother about something that happened with your significant other, or an experience that you've had and you want to understand it, or, you know, that's all philosophy. It's kind of windy, but I hope you've heard me very well. And now I'm in a field where I'll be sitting down and reading a book, and writing in my journal, and enjoying the rest of the afternoon, thinking about windy. Thinking about how I've done something somewhat productive. I made a nice little video. In any case, it's getting really windy now, so till next time.